What will happen as the end user comes in and they fill out an application? Once that application gets into the system, there's a couple of things that happen at the beginning of when that application is submitted. The MICH staff are kind of working that application. One of the things that we do is called a clear review. What that does is make sure that the person is saying who they actually are. And once they pass that clear review, that's when the applications get assigned to the subrecipients, like when it gets assigned to you all. And basically, what happens at that point is you will be able to see the application assigned underneath your account or your organization. So let me get logged in here as the sub admin, and the sub admin is going to be the kind of the first person who views the applications and assigns them out to the different users. So bear with me while I get in here. Go to my sub admin. This is always the fun part, trying to remember your passwords.
Michael, can you make your screen any bigger or no?
No, that's as big as I can get it right now.
Okay, thank
So I
you.
do apologize. Well, we're gonna take a little process and go and do some real quick figuring out if I locked myself out. This is always the fun part, everybody. I do apologize. Also helps if I'm using the right URL. I apologize, everybody. There we go. Okay. So when the sub-admin logs in, they're going to see a few tiles right at the beginning here. They're going to see my organization's cases assigned to processors, assigned to approvers, and then create applications. The create application is your ability to facilitate an application that is when you're sitting down with somebody, or maybe they've called you over the phone, and you're helping them fill out the application. The big note on this one is if you do a create application, you want to utilize an email that you have access to. The reason why is because it's going to send the confirmation and the one-time passcode to get into the application to that email address. So it's going to be an email that you have access to, so that you can continue to fill it out. The other piece is while you are filling this out, I always suggest that after you send or after you start the application and you get that email sent out, before you click on that link, log out of the system so that there are no issues. Sometimes we'll have issues where a submit button, verify button, some of those buttons don't show up just because you're logged in. So that's kind of a caveat there when you're doing that. Um, that being said, so once you get in here, like I said, you're going to have the My Organizations cases. You're going to be able to see all the cases that are assigned to your area or to your organization. It defaults to all, but as you can see here, you can look specifically through the different statuses, whether it is assigned to subrecipient, whether it's under review, not funded, rejected, all the different statuses. Also, to narrow down your searches, you have the ability to click the search button here, and it will open up your different search filters that you can filter by. Some will be drop downs, some will be drop downs with actual checkboxes where you can check multiple, and some will just be single select, and then others will be free text where you can actually type things in. Let's make sure. So let's say you wanted to look specifically at maybe a couple of different statuses. You wanted just to look at rejected and not funded. You can do that by clicking those two, clicking update results, and then being able to see that information. Another nice thing about this too is as you do your search, if you ever need to pull down the information, we do have oh, I don't know. I don't see it here. Never mind. Must be only on Mish's side, so I will reserve that comment. From there, you'll want to, as the sub-admin, you'll want to be able to assign to your processors and approvers. Think of your processors as kind of the first review of the application. They're going to be the people who are reviewing the application, making sure all the information is in, that all the supporting docs are correct, and that you got all of the stuff in there. The approvers will be the people who actually approve the app to be funded or not funded and that type of stuff. So as a sub-admin, you're going to click into the assign to processors. You'll be able to click into the users. All of your processors will be listed below here. And to assign to the processor, you just double click on that processor's name and then you can see the information. As you can see here, I have application 368, Jacqueline Mendoza here. I'm going to go ahead and select this application. And as you can see, when I click on it, it highlights the application here. Once that application is highlighted, I can go ahead and click Assign. There's also the ability to select multiple applications. You can see all of them kind of turn that light gray here. That will allow you to select, assign all three applications. Another point on the screen is seeing what is currently assigned to this processor. So if I click on that tab, it's going to bring me to what is currently assigned to this processor. If there's an application in here that's assigned to this processor and I don't want them to be assigned anymore, I can come in here and unassign an application by just clicking the highlighting the application here and then clicking the unassign. You also have the ability to select all from the top or deselect all. And you also have the ability to edit the application from there as well. The reassign applications are applications that you can come in here and then reassign to different users. So if I select an application down here and I click the reassign button, what that's going to do is that's going to reassign this application to my processor. So this pulls in all of the different applications. So let's go back to assign applications. We're going to go ahead and grab Jackie's application here, this 368. We're going to go ahead and click assign. And then it's going to say, hey, you have assigned one application to this processor. And it's going to be the same thing for the approvers. So if I go into the approver, I click in here, same situation. You double click on the approver here. You find the application that you want to assign or multiple applications. You select them and then you click the assign button. You'll get the same pop-up. You just click OK. On the screen also, I will just kind of point out here, this will show how many active applications that they have. It did the same for the processor. So if I jump right in here to the processor, you can see I have 22 applications currently assigned to this person. So that's the approver. Any questions on that role? Alrighty, let's go ahead and log in as the processor. So with the processor, like I said, what they're going to be doing is logging in and taking care of the actual application. And what they will do is they will review the application and make sure that everything is correct. As you can see, it's kind of the same titles, except instead of the assigned to processor and assigned.
You muted yourself, Michael, somehow.
All right, there we go. So as I was saying, kind of the same situation. Under the approver, you'll have, instead of assigned to the processor and assigned to approver, you have the my cases. And from the my organization's cases, the processor can see all the cases under the organization. It's the same thing under the approver. Same ability to search, pull down the information that they need. And then they also have the ability to create an application. I'm going to focus on my cases on this one because this will be all the cases that are assigned to the processor. So if I click on my cases, we're going to see all the cases that are currently assigned to this processor. We also have the different statuses and across the screen here on different tabs. So if we wanted to look at if there was a subrecipient hold or if you're requesting more information, if there was a completed app, if they were under funding reserves, completed, rejected, etc. You can also go to the All Cases tab, and this will show you all the cases that are currently assigned to you. But it does default over to the open one because that's where you're going to be spending most of the time looking at currently the open cases. So if we go in here and we look at application 368, I'm going to go ahead and double click in here. And you can see when we first started with that application, it was assigned to subrecipient. Moment I assigned it to a processor and approver, it kicked it over to the under review category here, the under review status. Uh, as you scroll down through here, you're going to see all of the applicant information. This is all the information that the applicant filled in on the application as they were going through it. Right at the top here's just some basic information: the applicant name, email, their address, zip code, kind of the high level information that you may need to take a look at something real quick. Below that, we have the activity log. What this does is this will show you all of the audit trails and all of the activity that has happened with this application. If, let's say, as a processor, you need to create a note, need to write something in here to say something real quick about this application, you can put notes in here. It opens up a free text box. You can type in here. Just a quick note, and then it will show up under this activity/audit log. Same thing if you ended up doing a phone call, you can click the create a phone call. It will have this little toggle switch already switched on for you. And then we'll just put in here, had a phone call with the client, and then we can save that. And you can see here, had a phone call with the client. If you click in here, you can also do a side by side, which will have this, and then you can see the details. So depending on how you like to view it, you can either have the side by side or the scroll view. From there, you'll see kind of the application details and the warnings. This is just kind of when the application was received, when it was, what status it's under, the clear score that it had. Warnings. The warnings are if the system is seeing like maybe a possible duplicate, or maybe they checked no on having insurance. There will be certain warnings in there to kind of give you a heads up. Hey, they might be missing information, or they need some stuff, or there might be a duplicate in the system, something along those lines. Underneath that is the address and contact information. And I do want to point out, as we are going through here, I do want you to double check here and see that you do have these little edit buttons. So let's say you find something in here that maybe you found out, oh, hey, their phone number's changed and it's not that 5551112, this, maybe it's 517 and then this. You're able to go in and edit that piece of information and click save. As you edit that information, I will point back to the audit log that it will make sure that it's grabbing all of that as you're saving. So we'll scroll down past the address. You're going to see the homeowner information. This is the person who filled out the application as the head of household. So this is the main information when they filled it out. It's got all the different questions that they were asked. And then underneath it is going to be any household occupants. So we can see there's only one household occupant on here that filled out this application. There's no other ones. But let's say you do end up having a household occupant that they didn't list. You can easily, like I said before, you can create a new household member. It'll pop up with the information, and then you just fill it in and click save, and then they'll be in there. Underneath that is the repair requests, and this is where they request the different repairs that they are wanting to do to the house. You can see here we have a roof repair. The estimate's $10,000, and currently we have a zero funded and not funded is no. This is where you will, as the processor, will go in and determine if yes, this is going to be funded. Then you can come in here and go, yep, we're going to go ahead and we know we're going to fund this. They're meeting the requirements. We're going to go ahead and put in the funded amount of $10,000. We'll go ahead and click the save button here. And then at this point, you can see that we're funding this amount. And then this area has kind of filled in. Currently, for this, my organization, I have $70,000 left in my budget. And out of that $70,000, I'm going to fund 10,000 of it. Below that, we have the utility information where you can view their utility information and their utility costs, as long as well as, sorry about that, their different programs if they've participated in any of those. Scroll back up to the top here, and then we'll go over to the income tab. So on the income tab, this is where you will have all of the information on income. So as you can see, top part of the application, still the same as it was on basic information. We have our applicant info, we have our audit and activity log, and then right below it is where we have our income request or income information, excuse me. Here you can see we just have the one person, the reason for need, they had COVID and needed help. And then below this, this is where all of their income information is coming in. Currently, they're asking for 2,500, or excuse me, currently their monthly income is $2,500 for employment, and it doesn't look like they have any other income, whether it's workers' comp, Social Security, retirement, unemployment, alimony, or other. So you can see that those are zero. Down here is where it's going to calculate everything. If we look at the total monthly income of $2,500, and then this would be our total annual income for one household member, it will do the federal poverty level percentage here. And if this isn't filled in, or if you ever need it to be filled in, you can just click the calculate federal poverty level button. And then that reaches back out to a table that we have in the system, and then we'll automatically calculate it based off that table in the system. Then we have the homeowner sustainability. It brings down that information, the $2,500. And then again, like I said beforehand, you do have the ability to edit this. So if you find out they have other income, you can come in here and edit this information and put more information in. So we'll scroll back up, and then we will go to supporting documents. These are all the documents that were uploaded while processing the application. Again, the top part here, application info and activity audit log is here. And then right below that is where we have all of our supporting documents. When you come in here, you'll be able to double click in here and look at the different supporting documents. So if I double click here on photo ID, we'll see a picture here of the photo ID. Let's say you find out that maybe this photo ID and this proof of ownership, maybe these are duplicate documents. What you can do at that point is if you find that you have duplicate documents, you can come in here and you can mark a document as a duplicate. What that will do is that will remove it from the active documents and move it over to this tab over here. Good news is if you accidentally do that and mark something as duplicate, and let's say you find out it wasn't duplicate, you can always kick it back and just unmark as duplicate. And then that will put the supporting doc back over, so you can see it back over here. You do have the ability to edit the name and the doc type. So maybe they uploaded it as proof of ownership, but you find out, oh, they accidentally uploaded it and it's their income documentation. You can come in here and actually change that so that you can organize it a little bit better for yourself. And then let's say maybe they missed a document and they've emailed it to you, or they're standing in front of you and you're like, oh, I need some documentation, and they hand it to you and you scan it into your computer. You can easily just add a new document by clicking new, drop down from here and saying what type of document is, and then finding the document you want to upload. So we're going to use my handy dandy calendar here, and then we're going to click save. And then what you'll see is it comes right up here. And then if I double click on this, you'll see that right there is the document. So we'll scroll back up to the top and then go to hardship, TPA, and attestations. From here, same as the other ones. The top has the application information, activity log. Right below there, we have all of the releases and signatures. So as you scroll down here, you will see if they were assisted by anybody, and if they were, they can add their email, or they should have their email there. And then they're going to have their hardship information. Below that, they're going to have their third-party authorization and their attestations. So as you scroll down, you will see on the attestations their initials here, where they did their digital signature and initialed that they were in agreement and testing that all that information was true. Below that, you'll see the signature of the homeowner, of the applicant right here. Here's their digital signature with their printed name and the date. And let's say at some point you're reviewing an application and the signature maybe is garbled, you can't make it out, or you need a different signature. That is easy enough. You can scroll up to this top here, and then you can do more info from client, and then reset the signatures and ask the client to sign digitally again. And while we're in this screen, so more info from client, this is where you can request more info from the client. Let's say they didn't provide enough information. You can select in here what you want them to provide. And maybe the no property insurance explanation, you select that, you enter in your message here, and then you click send message to applicant. What that will do is that will send a link over to the applicant to fill out and respond to your question. And then they will be able to upload information and then type in information into that link and then resubmit it. What will happen then is it'll come back to you in the application, and let's say they uploaded a new supporting document. It will upload here into the new supporting document, and then if they added any information, it will come in here in the activity/audit log. So you can have a conversation back and forth with them utilizing this. We also have the option of just outgoing email only. So this is just kind of if you want to make them aware of something and not get any information back, you can send just an outgoing email to them to say, it could be as simple as, hey, we are reviewing your application. Please understand it can take, 2 to 4 weeks to review an application, just so that they're aware. From here, once the application is reviewed, and depending on if the application is it has been reviewed and is as a complete application, you can mark the application as review and complete. Or let's say the application doesn't have all the information, you're not getting any contact back, you can reject the application outright from here. So in our case, we're going to go ahead and mark the application as review and complete. It'll move that application over to from under review to review complete. And then again, you do have the options from here to either reject the app or mark the app as not funded, or revert the application to previous status. So as the processor, the only two things that you can do for a final status are reject the app or mark the application as funded. Anything on marking the application as funding reserve funded is going to be on the approver's side. So let's say that this application is good to go. We know we're going to fund it. We've reviewed it. Review is complete. As the processor, you are done at this point. So we'll log out, we'll log back in as our approver. And same with the approver. We have the organization cases and my cases. The one thing that we are missing, though, is the ability to submit an application. And this is just for security purposes. We don't want people who are approving the applications or approving the funding to be able to actually send out and do applications. So it's kind of a division of responsibilities and stuff like that. So if I go into my cases and it's going to go to open cases, but we know that this one's completed. So we can go over here, click on completed applications. We can see Jackie's application here, application 368. It is in review complete. And as I click in here as the approver, we're going to have a couple of different options. We do have the same options as the processor of rejecting the app, marking the app as not funded, and reverting the app to the previous status. But we also have this nice little button here called Move Application to Funding Reserved. As the approver, they're going to be able to pump that application over to the funding reserve. So we're going to go ahead and click that. And then you'll get a little information pop up that says application was was moved from review complete to funding reserved. And so at this point, the application will sit here until I believe the work is all set. And then once the work is all set, you'll come in here and then bump it to the final mark application as funded. And then it's just that button right there. Once you click that, the edit energy savings will pop up. We can put in here the number, and then we'll save energy savings and fund app. This will bring up a nice little message where we can type in, hey, your MI-HOPE application case has been chosen to be funded. You can type in whatever information here and click fund and notified. And then from there, the application is all set.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lauren Smith. I work with the NEP program, and I do a lot of the IT stuff for the division with IGX. So I am going to talk about activities, financial status reports, and the final outcome report today. The MI-HOPE and MICH grants are run using our two different programs. So homeowners apply through the Kinetech page that we just talked about, and grantee organizations will approve and deny them through that system. The grant itself is run through the IGX system, where forms, activities, and FSRs are submitted. So Mike covered it Kinetech, and I'm going to go over the IGX system. To initiate an activity or FSR, the authorized official or authorized signer will log into IGX and go into the grant using either My Tasks or the search menu. Once you've logged into IGX, the system will take you to the dashboard, which is the screen that's shown here. To get to the grant using My Tasks, scroll through the list of tasks on the My Task panel on the dashboard. Your grant will show up in this list. Click on the grant number outlined here in red to go to that grant. Clicking on the organization number will take you to your organization information page, not the grant. To use the search option, click Searches at the top of the page, then hit Grants. Enter MI-HOPE grant or Michigan Investing in Community Housing grant for the type and the organization's name under organization. Click Search, and then click the grant number to take you into the grant. Okay, on to activities. This section is for MI-HOPE grantees only. MICH activities will be a little bit different. Allison's going to explain them later in the presentation. Once you're in the grant, click Initiate Related Doc, shown here in red from the left-hand menu. So you have this purple menu on the left-hand side where you'll be able to get to different areas within your grant. One of them is a blue button. This is Initiate Related Doc. You'll hit that. That will bring up a pop-up where you will select MI-HOPE activity from the available document dropdown and then click Create. Click Activity Form on the left-hand menu. Complete the activity form. Save using the Save button at the top right-hand corner of the screen. MI-HOPE grantees have two options for submitting an activity. You can either fill out the activity form in IGX completely and submit it as a complete record of the activity, or you can keep the complete record at your office, fill out the activity review checklist that's shown in part here on the screen, and only complete part of the activity in IGX. With this method, we will come to audit your files sometime during the grant term. You will need to fill out the homeowner information, or in the activity in IGX, you're going to need to fill out the homeowner information, self-certification household income form data, property information, including the energy efficiency eligibility activities, date completed, household self-certification confirmation, self-certification kinetic application, or the kinetic application upload, selected estimate upload, and the approval and request for contractor payment form upload. To help with that a little bit, there are errors that stop you from turning it in if you don't have what you need turned in. So uh, if you are filling out the checklist instead of the full document, if it doesn't make you turn it in, you should be good. But
Lauren,
this list is to help you. Yes.
they ask that you slow down a teensy bit, but this also is being recorded too, so it'll be available
It
on
is
our website.
recorded, and most of what I'm covering, we already have recordings uploaded on how to do it anyway. Not on this particular page though. Okay, so we're going to talk about that activity form a little bit. This is the activity form that's in IGX. For the activity data capture section, give the homeowner's name and the address. You will need to select homeowner occupied property or tenant occupied property. This will change some of the questions later on in the form, so you need to fill it out early. If you'll be using IGX to store your records and completing the entire activity, check the not applicable box for the activity review certification checklist. If you be completing your records or keeping your records on site and only completing part of the activity in IGX, you will need to upload the activity review certification checklist here. The activity category requested will autofill from information listed later in the form. Complete the beneficiary information for each adult in the house. Complete the self-certification household income form data. This must match the information entered into self-certification form that will be uploaded later on in the form. Complete the property information section. You will need to select the type of property. You will also need to select the type of energy efficiency activities and the amount that will be spent on each of those activities. Use the plus mark at the end of the line to add another line if you need to add additional activities. This is the section that's going to pre-populate the section up above. Confirm that the location is within the approved boundaries for your grant, that the specs work orders have been approved by all parties, and that the activities will be completed by licensed and insured contractors. You will also have to select if volunteers will be used. You will need to show what types of financial hardship caused by the coronavirus pandemic affected the household. At least one financial hardship must be selected from this section for the household to be eligible. When you get to the contract section, you will need to select one of the contracts created under construction contracts. Use the drop-down to select the contract. If you need to add another contract to this activity, you can click the plus mark to add another line. If the contract for this house is not listed, you will need to add the contract using construction contracts to add it before completing this activity. Your champion will check the box confirming that the contract is correct. Mitch will review the contracts in the contract section and will return the activity for modifications if problems are found. We're going to talk about construction contracts and how to add them in just a few minutes. For the supporting documentation section, you will need to upload before and after pictures and the date the activity was completed. Use the plus mark at the end of the line to add more lines if you need to add more pictures. You can upload a document with a bunch of pictures as one document, or you can add them each individually. You will also need to confirm that the self-certification eligibility form was completed and eligibility has been confirmed by the property owners, occupants, and that all parties have signed and dated the form. The self-certification form, estimates, and energy audit, if you have one, will be uploaded here. You will need at least 2 estimates for each activity that will be done for this house. Please check the box for the estimate that was selected for the project. Other than the approval and request for contractor payment, the next section of the uploads may not be applicable to all projects. Inspections are determined based on code requirements and determined locally. If the home has an inspection done, upload the report here. If the home doesn't need an inspection, click the Not Applicable box. You will need an approval and request for contractor payment. If you need more than one, use the plus button at the end of the line to add another line. You can upload more than one approval and request for contractor payment, but you must have 100% completion prior to the activity approval. This is in case you're going to split your payments over multiple FSRs. So if you're going to do the first FSR, then you would need to turn in or upload a requested approval and request for contractor payment here, save for 50%. And then the second time when you want to do the rest, you upload another one. They have to equal 100%. If the activity is roof, windows, and/or insulation, and the home is pre-1978 construction, then the subrecipient must provide a pre-evaluation disclosure of lead-based paint procedure to the property owner. Property owner must provide the informational lead brochure to an occupant or tenant if there is one. If the home was constructed after 1978, click the Not Applicable box. If the activity is insulation, modernization efficiency purposes, or replacement of heating, cooling, ventilation systems, and water heater upgrades, including on-demand retrofitting, or if electrical upgrades and/or replacement will impact plaster and the home is pre-1978 construction, then subrecipient must provide a pre-evaluation disclosure of asbestos procedure to the property owner. If the home was constructed after 1978, click the Not Applicable box. When taking the before pictures, keep in mind that we need a picture of the front of the house that includes the house number. We also need pictures that clearly show the reason the project is needed. For instance, if you're replacing a roof or windows, show the damage. Please try to take the after pictures from the same angle so that we can actually tell if work was done. For the self-certification form upload, you can upload either the household income self-certification form or a copy of the homeowner's application from Kinetech. The form uploaded must match the information entered into IGX. If completing the self-certification form, complete all 3 pages. All check marks must be checked. The occupant income verification statement must include the actual household income. When you get to the section asking for the number of household members over 18 and under 18, adult household members who are full-time students should be included in the second household line. Once the activity is ready to be submitted, save using the Save button at the top right-hand corner of the screen. Honestly, it's a good practice to hit save every once in a while so you don't lose your data. The system will kick you out after, I believe, the new number is 15 minutes, so save constantly. Just every once in a while, hit the Save button. Using the left-hand menu, click Submit Activity to send it to your champion or Cancel Activity to cancel it. Those are where the red arrows are pointing to right now on the screen. Please send an email to your champion to let them know you've submitted an activity. This will speed up the approval. This will need to be done for each house included in an FSR before an FSR will be approved. Contracts with contractors or subcontractors need to be entered into the grant. Once in the grant, the authorized official, agency administrator, or authorized signer will click on Construction Contract on the left-hand menu. Complete the construction contract page, including the contract name, amount, units, and contract number. You will also need to upload the contract, contractor or subcontractor license, and the contractor or subcontractor insurance information. You can add additional licenses or insurance documents by clicking on the blue plus mark at the end of the upload box. Once the page has been completed, click the Save button at the top right-hand corner of the page. After a contract has been uploaded, do not delete it. If something changes, you need to upload a new contract and enter the contract number followed by revision number. Uh, Click the blue button with the plus mark below the Save button to add another contract. Okay, on to FSRs. The authorized official or authorized signer will log into IGX and go to the grant, then click Initiate Related Doc from the left-hand menu to initiate the FSR. So this is done the exact same way we initiate an activity. And this section with the FSRs does cover MICH grants. So this hitting the initiate related doc will open up a pop-up where you will select FSR from the available document dropdown and click create. MICH grants will not have a pop-up because you don't have activities in the system. It will go directly to the FSR when you hit initiate related doc. To complete the FSR, you will need to complete the report information, expense summary, and expense detail sections. For the report information section, you will select the radio button, determining if this is a final FSR or not. Fill in the current report period. This should encompass all of the dates on the invoices in the FSR, and it has to be within the grant terms. You can't upload an invoice that was outside of the grant term. The expense summary section shows your approved budget, previous expenditures, returned funds, expenditures for this period, total expenditures, and the current period of your grant. If you want to request in advance, then that can also be done here. Enter the amount that you want to advance in the box outlined here in red. Complete the expense detail section for admin and each house included in this FSR. If you need to include more than one line, click the plus button at the end of the expense detail line. Admin should have its own line and each individual house should have its own line. Activities must be approved for each house included in the FSR or it will not be approved. For the budget category for MI-HOPE grantees, use the drop-down to choose MI-HOPE or admin. MI-HOPE will be used for most of the expenses for each house. For the budget category for the MICH grantees, use the drop-down to choose either Sharp, Share, Nice, or Admin. Depends on what the grant is you're using, and it will give you the correct drop-downs. For address, enter the address. For activity, use the drop-down to select the eligible activity. For description, enter a description for the eligible activity. For total amount of invoice, enter the total amount of the invoice, including the money that will not be covered by the MICHTA grant. For amount billed to MICHTA, include only the amount of the invoice that will actually be billed to MICHTA. And then for supporting documentation, you're going to upload the invoices or the admin form, which I'm about to cover in just a second.
Lauren?
Yes.
We have a hand up. Is it possible that we can ask a question? I'm not sure if it's pertaining to this or if it was back a little further.
Sure. What's
Paulette Johnson, you have a question.
Yes, my question was with regards to the construction contract page. For the contract name, would that be the name of the contractor? And then for the contract number, do we just come up with that number on our own, or how does that work? And then do we have to do a construction contract for each job? Or can it be by contractor? Because I noticed there's a number of units on that page.
It would be for each contract. So each contract, so if you have a contract that covers more than one house, then you'd upload it once. But if you have multiple contracts with a contractor, you'd have to upload all of them. And then the contract name, I believe, actually is the name of the contractor. And I don't know the answer to your question with the contract number.
The contract number is assigned by the agency. That's how you are determining which contract is being billed. It should tie to the invoice.
Okay, but if we're using this page for multiple contracts, I guess I'm confused about that number then.
If you have 5 contracts, you'll assign a number to each contract, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5.
I'm going to go back a little bit and show that screen.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I passed it. So there's a blue plus mark right here, which you can't see my arrow, so that's not helping you. There's a blue plus mark that's outlined in red. That's how you add another contract. So you hit that and you'll get another section that looks just like this for your next contract.
Okay, so that contract number is associated to the contractor, not the jobs.
No, the contract number is associated to that specific contract.
Okay, yeah. Thanks.
So if it helps, a lot of subrecipients for the contract name, they will put the contractor, but then they'll also put the address of the property that the contract is for. So then if they have a contractor that does multiple properties, then they differentiate that way. But it is up to you, just as long as it's clear and organized.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the program administration report. This is uploaded as supporting documentation for employee time counted towards administration. At the top of the form, select the type of admin the form will be used for. It can either be program administration report or an activity delivery cost. For this report, we want to see the subrecipient organization name and the current grant number. We also need the employee's name, title, and the report period. The report period should be a date range that covers every date listed in the program admin report. Each line should include the date, task description, the number of hours it took to complete, hourly pay rate, and the total. The total hours and the total for each line should be added towards the bottom. If the section isn't applicable for the line you are filling out, just write NA. The employee signature and the approving supervisor signatures must also be included at the bottom of the form. I cut it off here just so it would fit on the screen. Also, Tanya wanted to have a quick question. If you marked it as an activity delivery cost, and that's specific to the house, and then when you upload it into the FSR, it would be under it wouldn't be admin. It wouldn't be considered admin, correct? It would go under, like, if it was MI-HOPE, it'd be MI-HOPE activity. If you select program administration report, it is considered admin, and it wouldn't be specific to one house. You could cover more than one house on one activity or one admin form.
Yeah, that is correct. And I just
Okay.
wanted to add really fast, for the activity delivery cost, that is included in the maximum for each project. So that would be included in the 25,000 for MI-HOPE.
Can we address the chat question too and ask if the admin report can be an Excel document rather than a PDF?
No, it needs to be this form.
Thank you.
Yeah, depending on, you can get with your champion for more details on it, but if you have an internal way within your agency of organizing this, you can do a bit of a combination. So you could potentially do the Excel sheet, but then also fill out the sheet that is required for it to be filled out and signed. But for example, in the task description, you could say reference attached Excel sheet or something like that. But again, that's kind of on a case by case basis. So run it through your champion before you upload, please.
The FSR tracker is uploaded as supporting documentation when you are requesting partial payment for a house. You can do partial payment for 25, 50, or 75% with just this form. You will need to enter the money as an advance and complete a line under expense detail with $0. This percentage can be based on the overall home project or the individual projects within a home, as long as you stay consistent. When you fill out the FSR for the final draw on the house, you will need this form and the invoice. The amount will be entered into the expense detail section instead of as an advance. The FSR can be canceled or submitted by the authorized signer using the Cancel FSR or Submit FSR button on the left-hand menu. After the FSR is submitted, it will be reviewed by the champion, manager, and director within MICH. If errors are found, the FSR will be returned for modifications. To return to an FSR that is already in progress, log into IGX and go to the grant either using My Tasks or the search menu. To use the search option, click Search, then Grants, enter MI-HOPE grant or Michigan Investing in Community Housing grant for the type and the organization's name under Organization. Click Search and then click the grant number to take you into the grant. Scroll the left-hand menu down and click Financial Status Report. You will then have a list of all of the FSRs to choose from, including any FSRs that have been approved in the past. The final outcome report is used to close out the grant after all funds have been spent and the grant term is over. This report will be different for MICH and MI-HOPE. I'm going to go over the final outcome report for the MI-HOPE grant today, but details for the MICH final outcome report will come later. The authorized signer, agency administrator, or authorized official will log into IGX and go to the MI-HOPE grant, either using My Tasks or the search menu. Click Final Outcome Report on the left-hand menu to get to the final outcome report. Complete the report and save using the Save button at the top right-hand corner of the screen. If you have leveraged funds to report, you're going to do that right here. There's a blue plus mark in the corner that you can click to add another section. The MI-HOPE subrecipient participation engagement survey will be uploaded here. All of the MI-HOPE household participation engagement surveys that you have collected should be uploaded here as one file. And there are links to Blink versions of both of those surveys here as well. This is also where you will give us the home energy measurables of cost savings. You'll need to upload an overall final projections of energy savings for all of the addresses as one file and an overall cost savings post-construction for all of the addresses as one file. We will accept Home Energy Rating Systems Rater, Utility Company Energy Rater Programs, National Energy Audit Tool, or U.S. Department of Energy Home Energy Savers Tool. The last part is the cumulative energy savings for the grant. And this report does not actually have a submit button. You just need to save it. You'll go in, enter all this information, save it, and you don't actually need to hit submit. If you have any questions about activities, financial status reports, or final outcome reports, please email your questions to the MI-HOPE or MICH email boxes listed here, or throw up a hand here and we'll talk about it right now.
Yes, okay, good. All right, so thank you to Lauren for going over the activities for MI-HOPE. For MICH, there's going to be a lot of overlap in terms of what's needed. The major difference is going to be how it will be uploaded to IGX. So I just wanted to touch on that briefly with you guys. So to start with, you will be getting into IGX in order to submit this documentation, same as with MI-HOPE. And then you'll click into your MICH grant. And by that, when I say click into your MICH grant, I mean, instead of selecting your organization name from the list when you do your search or on your task tree, click on that ARP-2023 number that is specific to your grants, because that will take you to where you want to be. Once you're in there, there will be a purple column on the left-hand side. So you'll scroll down there to the history section. And then the fourth option down there, which is highlighted on this page, will be the miscellaneous attachments section. So all that you need to do is click in there, and that is where you're going to be uploading documentation. So you will have 4 separate uploads for MICH. The first one will be the activity review checklist, which we are going to go into in more detail further on in this presentation, as well as the contractor documentation being a second upload, the activity upload, and then expense detail. So again, these will be just 4 separate uploads that you can upload as you have them ready in the system. Now, the descriptions for these, because you'll have the upload, and that will include the title of whatever document you're uploading, and then there'll also be a section for descriptions, which you'll see a couple slides from now. And in that section for descriptions, 2 items are required. Make sure you put the property address so we can properly tie this documentation to the right address, and then the project amount that MISTA will be paying. So we'll want to know, if it's $25,000, if it's $50,000, just make sure you put that total that you're going to seek for reimbursement. And that would include activity delivery costs as well, and energy audits. So not just the cost of the repairs. And
Is it possible to go back to that screen again? I'm sorry to interrupt,
yeah,
but
of
the
course,
screen that you showed to initially start.
yeah. So to initially start, you're going to do it very similar to how Lauren went through, where you'll log into IGX and then you'll click on your MICH grant. So that number there, as you can see kind of at the, I know you can't see where my clicker is at, but the ARP dash number. And then there will be a purple column on the left, which is always in there whenever you go into your grant or an IGX in general. And there'll be history section, and then under that, miscellaneous attachment. So you'll just click on that, and that will be where you'll be able to upload. And then specifically what you're uploading were those 4 documents there. And the key aspect of this is to make sure that you save. Please do save, because there is no automatic save within IGX, and there is a timeout if you haven't done certain activities within a certain amount of time. Like Lauren said, I believe it's up to about 15 minutes now. So if you get logged out without saving, that documentation is lost and you will have to upload it again. So you should still have it on your computer. It's not the end of the world, but just in terms of consistency and organization, save, save, save. We always recommend as much as possible, please do. So a little bit more detail on those 4 uploads. Again, you'll have the activity review checklist, which I'm going to be going over after this. And that is a checklist that it's required for the required activity documents. So it's a really helpful review to show you what's needed and make sure that everything is there. And then you'll be signing to verify that it is there and that it's within guidelines. And then you will upload that document. And the second upload will be your contractor information. So again, the same thing as with MIHOPE, the contract, license, your SAM.gov verification, and insurance. And as was mentioned, just make sure that for the license and the insurance, make sure that those are good within the time period of the project itself. So if the project takes place this year, make sure that insurance didn't expire, last year. Get the up-to-date insurance, please. The third upload is your activity upload, which is your activity documentation, similar to MIHOPE, and again will be referenced on the checklist. And then the fourth and final upload will just be the expense detail with that breakdown. So here is the example of what it will look like in the system once you upload these documents. So again, as you can see, it's under the miscellaneous attachments section. There are 4 separate uploads, and again, remember in the description, you're going to have that property address, and you're also going to have the amount billed to MISHDA. And you can see there how there are the plus and negative signs. So the plus is to add additional lines as needed, and then the negative, you could delete that line if for whatever reason that activity is unable to be completed, or you want to start again and re-upload that line, and that is on a per line basis. And again, you can see that save button on the upper right. So remember to click that one as much as possible. Now I am going to share my screen so that I can show you the activity checklist unless we have any additional questions on this before I go into the checklist. No? Okay, I think we're good. So I'm going to share my screen. Give me just 1 minute. All right, so this is the activity checklist. And as you can see here at the top, you're going to give your grant information and the address information so we can tie it to that property. And then the total project cost. And this is going to be for what will be billed to MISHDA. So it will match the description as well as in the Kinetech portal. And if there's any deviation from the portal, this is where you would put it. So the deviation may be due to activity delivery costs, or you can also bill for the energy audit, which would make sense for a slight increase there. Just put that explanation. And you will also need to upload that information for that cost difference in your document. So for example, that energy audit, you would just put the invoice in if it's not with the energy audit itself. The next section on the checklist is the beneficiary information, which you'll be able to get right from Kinetech. So it would be the size of the household and the annual salary. Now you can approve household salaries that are 0. We just need MISHDA approval for that one. So make sure you check with your champion first. And then the rest of this is basically just making sure the information is there in Kinetech and that it is within guidelines. And so make sure that it's within those specific MISH guidelines here. So that's a slight deviation from MIHOPE. But next we will go into our property information for the energy efficiency portion. So in this section of the checklist, you will be selecting what activities were completed, and then you're going to put in the amount of funding per activity there. And as you can see there, excuse me, as you can see, there is a section for other expenses, just in case there's something odd there. Just make sure you put in the explanation. And again, in such instances, you may want to check with your champion first just to make sure it is within MISH guidelines. The next section of the checklist is for the property information for the accessibility efficiency. So again, we have this big list of the different accessibility options that you would select from depending on that specific property and what was being done. And then this section is all about just confirming that it's within guidelines. So is the location within the approved boundaries and zip codes? Have the work specs and orders been approved, et cetera, et cetera. And then if you are volunteer labor, you would need the approval date, which you would put in here. So again, this is a good indicator of when you should reach out to your champion just for that extra verification to make sure that everything is within guidelines before moving forward. And making sure there is a financial hardship and that they are they have a disability eligibility as well. And same thing, if a property has been assisted by MISH in the past, it can still be assisted through MISH or through MI-HOPE. There are just certain guidelines with that, so you'd want to check with your champion ahead of time. Now onto the contract section. So this just goes over what I put in the PowerPoint and what Lauren went through as well, where you would need to upload your contract, license, insurance, and your SAM.gov verification, and make sure you retain it locally for monitoring. And again, that builder license and insurance, make sure it is within the project period. And then this is your next upload, your supporting documentation. So that third upload, which will have your before and after pictures, it'll have the dates that are completed, your self-certification form, or your PDF upload from the portal, and your bids, as well as lead and asbestos and your energy audit as applicable. And then here you would confirm that taxes, insurance, and mortgage and rent are current, as is within MISH guidelines, as well as these other declarations, just to make sure, again, the guidelines are there and that they have been reviewed and that this application is within those guidelines and therefore can receive MISH funding. Then you would put your agency name again, print out the name of the signer, sign here as well with your title and date. And then your last upload, as I went over in the PowerPoint, is your expense detail. So your different, you would absolutely have your activity expenditures billing and your approval and request for contractor payment, and then the other billings as you would like to include. And again, these would all be included in that total amount. And then these last pages here is just more detail about that income requirement. As you guys are aware, it's just put here to help assist you and facilitate the convenience, basically.